Throughout Eve's journey in the incredible third-person narrative release from Shift Up Studios' Stellar Blade, one thing centers the story and tethers everything together. That is Stellar Blade's theme. By looking at Stellar Blade through the lens of its theme, What is Humanity?, as stated by Shift Up developers in their behind-the-scenes series released on Sony's official PlayStation YouTube channel, several nuances to the story, and in particular to its ending, can be seen and appreciated. What is humanity? More specifically, what does it mean to be human? Or what does it take to have humanity, are questions that Stellar Blade's protagonist, Eve, seems to be perpetually answering and fulfilling on her hero's journey. We learn that Eve isn't technically human at all, instead a member of the android race known as androidos, but her development as an individual and the discovery of her humanity is what makes her truly special. But Eve's uniqueness isn't achieved on her own. All of Stellar Blade's key players, Raven, Adam, Tachy, Lily, and Orcal, contribute in different ways that are related to Stellar Blade's theme, that allow them to express their humanity, or lack thereof, which ultimately affect Eve and help propel her to answer the question set out by Shift Up Studios. Let's use the theme of Stellar Blade, what does it mean to be human, and look at the aforementioned main characters to discuss how their actions created unique ripples in the story that helped develop Eve's humanity and ultimately allowed her to make an informed decision that led to a satisfying ending of this incredible game. To help us understand Eve's development of her humanity, it would be best to first take a look at the game's antagonist, Raven. Mother Sphere is also definitely the other antagonist, but because her efforts play out on a more global scale, we can discuss Mother Sphere in different parts peppered throughout this video. Also, it's worth noting that some might argue that Adam is the game's antagonist, but when we really look at his character motivations and actions, it's clear he is not the antagonist, but a true companion to Eve, and perhaps even the strongest catalyst in helping her achieve her goal. But let's save our discussion of Adam for a little later and get back to Raven. Raven is truly a tragic character because she was most likely a potential androidos for Adam to use in his ultimate goal of fusing the most advanced hyperbody created, herself at the time of their meeting, and the ultimate Naytiba, himself, a Naytiba that has not succumbed to hostile instincts. During Adam's ending monologue to Eve, he states that he has been working on this plan for decades, the plan for both true organic human beings and the androidos to become the inheritors of the human race by creating a fusion of an advanced androidos angel with himself. With regards to his plan being in the works for decades, we could piece together that Raven was no doubt a consideration for his plan. If we recall, Lily states she was in hiding for 2 years from the time her pod dropped to Earth, therefore making the time between her wave, the 5th wave of angels sent to Earth, and Eve's 7th wave, we can conclude there is a year or so of time between each wave. We could say with confidence that Raven's 2nd wave most likely arrived 3 years prior to Lily's 5th wave. When we battle Raven in her angel form, she states that she served him meaning Adam, for a very long time. So Raven has been around on Earth for almost 5 years by the time Eve's 7th wave of angels arrives during the events that we play in Stellar Blade. And because Adam states he was researching and coming up with his plan for decades, Raven could have been considered as the androidos to fuse with, but here is why he did not. As the days since her dive to Earth progress and she loses more and more of her fallen comrades until she eventually becomes the sole survivor, Raven changes. As we progress through the legacy recordings, we can tell that the loss of her comrades, as well as the loss of her faith in Mother Sphere, progressively drains her until she seemingly becomes disgusted and hateful towards Mother Sphere, whom she once worshipped as her god. The earlier recordings start with Raven stating the status of her comrades, Ripley and Danis. It's clear she cares for them, but with each new recording she eventually loses her comrades. Perhaps she even considered them her friends. And then as we get to the last recording, her loathing of Mother Sphere is evident as she describes her and her comrades' existence as something Mother Sphere has manipulated, similar to the pawns on a twisted chessboard. It's at this point that she and Adam most likely meet. She has lost her comrades and her faith in Mother Sphere, arguably pillars in what made her who she was. But we could argue that Eve is also in a similar state in the last half of the game. She lost her sister Tachy, and she has just put the pieces together upon watching the legacy recordings that she, Lily, and her other comrade angels are androidos, created by Mother Sphere, an extremely advanced AI, not their holy god. But where they differ is in the humanity they gained, or in the case of Raven, the humanity they never got the opportunity to gain. I'll discuss a little later how Adam provided the opportunities for Eve to gain her humanity through the interactions she has with the people of Zion, and by extension, the other surrounding areas. Eidos 7, the Wastelands, the Great Desert, and Matrix 11. But the main point here is that Raven gained entry into the nest too easily. She didn't prove herself in any way, and by spending over 100 days on Earth in which she lost her comrades and her faith, she was too damaged. We know that Raven entered the nest. Eve states that the supply camp inside the nest was most likely set up by Raven years before. When Raven was inside the nest and encountered Adam, she was in a deteriorated state and surely didn't present well to him. It may not have been right away, but perhaps over time, Adam realized he didn't want to fuse with such a damaged or fallen angel, and instead of giving her that opportunity, he provided Raven with a typical Naytiba to fuse with to become an Alpha Naytiba, the black-winged creature we see in the game, someone that Adam, with his silver tongue, was easily able to bring to his side. But this is not a healthy relationship. Raven tells Eve that she served Adam for years. Raven also states that Eve is not aware of an unwritten rule when they battle outside of the nest.
There is an unspoken truth you don't dare acknowledge. Do you think you're just going to complete your mission and head back to the colony? A hero. Unfortunately, you've learned too much. You can't be manipulated anymore.
I believe Raven is speaking about an unwritten rule of how people are naturally used by one another for one's own purpose. Over time, Raven realizes that Adam is using her, just in the same way that Mother Sphere uses her pawns to move around on her twisted chessboard, Earth and the colony, to serve her purpose. This boils over into jealousy and rage when Raven finds out that Adam has chosen Eve to fuse with. Raven invades Zion to take the 3 alpha cores that Eve has already presented to Orcal, so that Eve will not be able to enter the nest. I will get into why the alpha cores and the master core are needed to get into the nest a little later when I talk more in length about Adam. But back to Raven. Raven makes her way down to the presence chamber and quickly dispatches Rael and her partner. Then, upon entering the presence chamber, Man puts up a formidable battle with Raven, and in the process screams at Orcal to run. The only unobstructed way to go is towards the core, so Orcal begins crawling away, and in the process, all of his cybernetics are torn off. Orcal is left in a weakened and deteriorated state as he slowly crawls out of the presence chamber. As Eve arrives, we see Man trying to hold his own as we transition into our fight with Raven, the unlisted Naytiba. At this point, it's best to continue our discussion on Raven by bringing in Adam. The narrative storytelling device of the hero's journey includes 10 steps. All are quite important, but one that is essential in a video game like Stellar Blade is the step of gaining companions. I would argue Adam plays the most pivotal role in nudging Eve along her hero's journey as a true companion to Eve. Before getting into Adam's interactions with Eve, I still have to finish up a few more things on his interactions with Raven. Raven most likely entered the nest without much effort. We know most of Raven's efforts were spent in Altice and Abyss Levoir, uncovering the truth about the Naytiba. And by the time she reaches the nest, she is already 100+ days into her mission since the 2nd Airborne Squadron's dive to Earth. There was most likely not a master core that was needed to enter the nest. He witnessed how mad Raven was and didn't want her to be the one he fused with. He therefore ensured the next angel that was inside the nest was more worthy. Adam creates a lock on the nest, the Master Core, something that is composed of 4 Alpha Cores, items that could only be acquired upon defeating an Alpha Natiba. To Adam, this would ensure that only a worthy enough angel could open the door and enter the nest. This would ensure that only the best of the angels would present themselves to Adam. However, being that Raven was from the 2nd Airborne Squadron, Adam would have experienced 4 successive failures in waves 3, 4, 5, and 6. So with Eve's most recent wave of angels, the 7th wave, Adam decides to give them a little guidance. He's probably tired of failures by the previous waves, and this is why he chooses to help guide Eve. As Raven discovers this, she makes her way to the only 2 surviving members of the 7th Airborne Squad, Tachy and Eve, in an attempt to wipe them out. She is jealous of not being selected for Adam's plan, something that she either figured out or that Adam told her of, and seeks them out in the opening moments of Stellar Blade against his will. She may be thinking that if there are no angels left from the 7th wave, that she might perhaps be chosen. Adam therefore has to rush to the only survivor he can pick up with his scanner, and makes it there just in time to stop Raven, and rescue the one sole angel that he sees, Eve. With his check of the Master Core lock on the nest in place, he can begin pushing this last angel of the 7th wave along the route to find an Alpha Natiba, which turns out to be Gigas in Eidos 7. After Eve defeats Gigas and earns the first Alpha Core, Adam seems amazed by her display and ability at gaining it. Adam is about to reveal something to Eve, but they are interrupted by Lily's banging. Just before the point where Adam was going to reveal something to Eve, Adam is going through a thought process of realizing Eve could be a worthy angel, and therefore decides to nudge Eve along the next path he wants to carve out for her, that of gaining her humanity.
An Alpha Core. If she were... Eve. There's something you need to know. The truth is...
Remember that Adam knows androidos don't have any fiber of humanity in them when they are first birthed. They literally are not made of human DNA and have no interactions with humans. Even though the androidos angels are physically the size of fully formed adults, they are like babies when it comes to their knowledge of human interaction. It appears they only have interactions with one another in their training at the colony, but we don't know what this looks like. The extent of the relationships between angels that could be built seem to only be with other angels through their interactions in training. So Adam needs to ensure that this angel, Eve, could be an individual he can fuse with and essentially trusts with being the next stage of humanity. He would need to provide this state-of-the-art weapon created by Mothersphere that has no understanding of the nuances of human interactions and feelings, the opportunity to learn humanity. Adam, in his past life as Raphael Marx, has likely run the gamut of both good and bad deeds, and truly knows everything human beings and androidos are capable of, as he surely saw atrocities done by both factions during the Liberation War and the Final War. While monologuing to Eve in the nest before the final battle, Adam says he wants atonement, forgiveness, and wants us to heal. He states that he has done everything sincerely. All of Eve's human interactions in hopes of her building an understanding of and the ability to care for humans are thanks to Adam. So if we go back to the scene just after Eve defeats Gigas, Adam was so impressed with Eve's ability at dispatching the Alpha Natiba that he wanted to put her on the path of learning about humanity, which could only be achieved if Eve has humans to interact with. We find out in the following scene inside the tetrapod that Adam was going to reveal the city of Zion to Eve before they were interrupted by Lily. Once they are there, this is when Eve truly flourishes and becomes a caring, empathetic individual. Every one of Eve's side quests, from the mundane to the more magical, give Eve the opportunity to learn about the emotions and interpersonal relationships that make individuals human. These are mostly positive interactions. Think of how Eve learns about love through Enya and Sue's story, or how Eve learns about leisure and relaxation through her moments of fishing with Clyde. But Eve learns about deception, secrets, and lying when she is tricked by some thugs or when she is spoken to in secret alleys. Zion provides Eve with the necessary social interactions to become more human and to learn human ways, and they are provided out of sincerity from Adam. In the end, my playthrough culminated in Eve taking Adam's hand. His arguments seemed very sound when he revealed his master plan of the fusion between him and Eve. When he tells Eve that everything he has done sincerely, we can definitely take him at his word.
I want atonement. I want forgiveness. I want us to heal. Please know that everything I have done sincerely.
His desire to heal and atone is another defining aspect of being human. We all sin, we all make mistakes, and we all cause harm to others whether we know it or not. Raphael Marx, Adam, knows these human traits all too well. Like he says, he is the source of everything. But to atone and to try and make things right is the most powerful human urge that Adam teaches Eve. We could even argue that because Eve retains her personality and individuality after she fuses with Adam, at least some of his persona should also be maintained in their new fused form. Her possibly having this essence of Adam inside will make Eve stronger and a more aware, capable human. Perhaps the hopeful Stellar Blade sequels can utilize this unique character trait of having some or all of Adam still a part of Eve in this new form of humanity.
Are you Eve?
Yes. Well, it's hard to describe, but... Lily, I am the Eve you remember.
Tachy fits the role of an older sister to Eve beautifully. Tachy showed Eve the side of humanity that is strong, the side of humanity that never gives up when the odds are stacked against them, and the side of humanity that is nurturing and protective, all of which helped create a unique bond between the two. Tachy and Eve developed such a closeness in their training at the colony that they even one-upped Wolverine and Colossus with their own take on their iconic offensive attack, utilizing Tachy's blade as the launching pad for their more deadly and feminine version of the fastball special. But what Tachy taught Eve above all else was the ways to protect a younger sister. Several times Tachy supports Eve in a protective way. She gives Eve a caring warning in regard to Eve's safety when she pulls her out of her pod, and helps guide and support her the rest of the way up until the arrival of the Alpha Naytiba.
Wait, Eve. I hear something. Eve!
Eve was able to have a well-deserved final moment with Tachy, and even though she is gone, Eve continues to carry her memory with her in these touching moments sprinkled in through the rest of the game that continue to show Eve develop her humanity. Lily serves the role of a little sister or a friend to Eve, someone in which Eve can take what was passed down and learn from Tachy, arguably that older sister to Eve, and apply it here with Lily. Our ability to pass on what we learn to those that are younger to us, whether they be our generational offspring such as our children, or in this case a younger sister, helps define us as humans. As a member of the Airborne Assault Squad, Eve naturally has the ability to fend off foes as her body is a more capable state-of-the-art weapon than Lily's, as Lily's main function is to provide support and maintenance. But again, it's Tachy who teaches Eve how to be a protector, and we see Eve's protective nature towards Lily shine numerous times at later stages in the game. Friendship is what Lily also provides to Eve. We see Lily reach out and hug Eve. Eve seems quite unsure as what to do in these moments, as most of her forms of physical contact occur when she is decimating Naytibas. But through hugging Eve multiple times, this simple physical gesture builds warmth and a bond between the two. Lily and Eve's friendship will continue to teach both of them, original members of the Androidos Angels, and now the new humans of Earth, about humanity and serve them as they define the path for the humankind to walk. While Tachy and Lily helped foster the development of Eve, it was the surviving humans on Earth after the colony extinction that showed Orcal humanity and helped bring about his salvation. In his final moments, he of course proved to Eve how self-sacrifice done for the right reasons can lead to something more important than one's own life. Orcal's story arc was able to come full circle. By sacrificing himself and giving Eve the final Alpha Core, essentially his own life, he spends his dying moments knowing that the Alpha Core will allow Eve to enter the nest and help bring about a new humankind through Adam's plan, and allow Adam to give Lily the final hypercell to save Zion, the city whose inhabitants were the one who originally saved Orcal when he was left for dead after the colony extinction.
I was left for dead after the colony extinction, but humans found me and saved me. That was the moment when I lost all reason to fight. After sealing the power of the Alpha, I gathered all the survivors I could and built Zion. I thought I could atone for my sins by protecting them, building a home for them, a safe place.
I think Orcal's story arc is also quite successful and satisfying, in part due to the big misdirect and eventual reveal in this aforementioned scene between him and Eve. Biographical information is revealed in Stellar Blade's character descriptions as the game progresses. And early on in the game, after meeting Orcal, his bio description states he appeared out of the blue and that he is a mysterious figure. Because of this, I thought Orcal was going to be revealed to be a villain, if not the villain of Stellar Blade. Also, he is the only physically old-looking person in the game, so it would fit him to have the moniker of Elder Naytiba. However, we learn that Orcal's intentions are true. We further learn that he is an Alpha Naytiba, and he has killed many humans. Orcal was living amongst the Andro-Eidos after the Liberation War, but once the Naytiba were released on Earth and the infection continued to spread, and humanity started to evacuate to the orbit elevators in hopes of escaping to the colony, Mother Sphere decided to decimate the colony rings and obliterate 30 of the colony pods in what was known as the colony extinction, in order to keep the contamination of Naytiba at the top of the 4 orbit elevators from spreading throughout the colony. At this time, debris from the colony extinction rained down through the atmosphere and pelted Earth like thousands of meteors, causing global destruction. Orcal says he was left for dead after the colony extinction, and we can see that his body was severed in half, leaving him with only his upper torso and one arm intact. It was at this point that he was saved from some of the humans that survived the reigning destruction of the colony. It's important to remember that earlier he was infected by the Naytiba, then became an Alpha Naytiba, and was responsible for killing thousands of new humans, the Andro-Eidos, before the colony extinction. Orcal was so touched by the humans that saved him, again humans he was decimating before the colony extinction occurred, that he decided to seal off the powerful Alpha Naytiba inside of him and become Orcal, setting aside his destructive ways as an Alpha Naytiba. Similar to Adam, he wanted to atone for his sins. Orcal did this by creating a safe place for the survivors of Earth with the city of Zion. The surviving humans on Earth after the colony extinction showed Orcal how to have humanity, and Orcal passes this along to Eve. In Orcal's last moments, he thanks Eve for giving his life purpose, the purpose to provide Eve with the means to create the Master Core in hopes of saving humanity by meeting the Elder Naytiba.
I see. Thank you. Thank you for giving my life purpose. At last.
By the time Eve reaches the nest, she's a far different individual than she was at the start of Stellar Blade. Although Eve was created through a process of involving an artificial superintelligence with no actual human DNA as an android that was originally designed to be a weapon, amongst every character she demonstrates the most humanity by the values she upholds and the individuals she helps along the way to completing her ultimate goal. When Eve comes to the decision to take Adam's hand, Eve is making an informed decision thanks to all of her interpersonal interactions. She's developed her humanity, and we see game developer Kim Hyung-Tae's question regarding the theme of Stellar Blade answered. What results is that the Elder Naytiba as an individual is no more, but the Naytiba signal is still inside of this new Eve. The Providence exosuit receives a new signal from the colony. This is a command given by Mothersphere. The Eve protocol is complete, and Mothersphere enacts her next phase of her plan. She wants to know if whatever usurped or defeated the Elder Naytiba, an individual that would be quite capable, is a worthy entity to carry forth the new humankind. She therefore sends a new wave of angels to Earth. As Mothersphere speaks to Eve and Lily, she reminds us of a couple of things. Mothersphere says she serves the future of mankind. She also says predicting the future is like trying to find one single star in the endless night sky. If we keep in mind that artificial intelligences are simply fancy prediction machines, at their core, this is the way that current AI operates. Think of ChatGPT and how it can give a response or write a paper. Its system is based on using all of the knowledge in its library or mind to build one word upon the next, essentially predicting what is the best word to put next, thereby forming a message. Mothersphere would be based on a similar system, but a much more advanced one, in which she is always trying to predict the future to benefit humanity. She says, "For the sake of Father, I refuse to give up." Here, she's talking about Raphael Marx, her creator. Eve and us playing the game must realize that this is the stage for the future. Mothersphere is saying that it's hard to predict what Eve will do next. She disagrees about Eve and Adam's decision to meld together, and she's letting us know that regardless of what happens, she will continue to involve herself as their decisions are part of her core programming. We know that Mothersphere will never stop. Just earlier, inside the nest, Adam stated how Mothersphere operates.
At this rate, Mothersphere will do the same thing over and over again. I wouldn't be surprised if she even destroyed the colony, and thereby Earth. As you know, she will not stop.
What we see play out when Eve and Lily are confronted by Mothersphere is her giving Eve a new task. Eve once again protects Lily, tells her to get back, and we hear Eve's last spoken words of Stellar Blade.
So this is your plan. Then I'll gladly play my part. Now, come, my comrades.
This tells us that Eve will continue to take action and show she is worthy of the mantle of the new humankind, and Mothersphere will look on. The possibilities for a sequel are endless. This evolved humankind has its leader in Eve, and she now has the potential to become a much more dynamic and robust character in the inevitable Stellar Blade sequels. After this, we get the bonus scene if we had enough affinity shared with Lily and if we took Adam's hand in the nest. The sun rises, which symbolizes a new beginning and Eve being reborn, just as a phoenix does, as her new self, an individual born from Eve and Adam. Both Eve and Adam fulfill their main goals, and humanity, the members of Zion, all of those which helped Eve discover her own humanity, are the ones that will benefit. Lily inserts the final hypercell, and we see Zion and the individuals in the cradle light up and become full of life. It's exciting to see this as the closing scene of Stellar Blade. I hear this is the agreed upon and more canonical true ending. I'm incredibly excited if that's the case because I can see how this is a jumping off point for what could hopefully be the start of a new franchise for Sony with potential sequels. Eve moves forward in her pursuit of Mothersphere. Mothersphere continues to be Eve's antagonist. They both demonstrated they are willing to go to great lengths to achieve their goals, but while Mothersphere has shown she will kill the innocent in the name of making progress for what she believes humanity should be, as made clear when she wiped out so many humans and Naytiba in the colony extinction, Eve does not. She has shown us she is ready to guide the new humanity, the members of Zion. Although she is their leader, she also was aware that she has them to thank for something that was not programmed into her from Mother Sphere or gained from her fusion with Adam. The experiences she had during the events of Stellar Blade and the moments she shared with her companions and those in Zion that helped Eve discover her own humanity in the first place. Thanks so much for coming. I truly appreciate your time. I would love to hear your thoughts regarding the humanity displayed by Eve and the other characters of Stellar Blade. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. I'll be jumping down there myself to keep up the discussion with you all. See you next time. Peace.